Monday, it was Vidal and a song called Body Rock. So, a volunteer group who are national, but we're talking about people in Swale here, look after hens. Apparently, hens have a relatively short commercial egg production life, and if more often than not, farmers will just send them off to slaughter. Well, this group of volunteers step in there and rescue them and give the hens a natural life. And we can talk now to somebody who's heavily involved with this. It's Alison Nolan. Good morning, Alison.
Good morning, Tony.
So I hadn't heard of this until you let us know about it. Let's start from the beginning. Talk a bit about how the hen works in terms of commercial production.
Well, up until they're 18 months old, they lay an egg a day usually. But when they get to sort of that age, maybe between 16 to 18 months, they tend to produce slightly fewer eggs. And once they start to lay less than 7 eggs a week each, they are no longer commercially viable. So the farmers then send them off for slaughter and get in new chicks to start producing as many eggs as possible again.
Now, are we talking about what's the difference between battery ranges and free-range chickens?
Free range have access to the outside, so they have grass, they can see the sun and fresh air and all that sort of thing. They have barns to sleep in as well. The caged ones, they are now enriched cages, which are better than the battery cages they used to be, but they are quite small and they don't have any access to the outside in those. Do the eggs taste any better or any different, and is the level of production any different as to whether you're a free range or, for want of a better phrase, battery hen? I think the free range ones are slightly better because the hens have access to more vegetation. As long as they're fresh, they're all pretty nice.
Okay, so they have a limited life of commercial production. Farmers send them off, and this is then when rather than having that happen to them, this is where your group comes in.
That's correct, yes. We jump in and offer them new homes for their retirement.
Now, I didn't know until we had this conversation about any of this stuff that goes on about hens. So let's talk about, there is a British Hen Foundation or something?
It's the British Hen Welfare Trust. They're a national organisation as well and work pretty much the same as we do. They rehome commercial hens, and they are nationwide as well. We do work closely with the other groups that do the same thing.
The difference is that you're a volunteer group, the others are charities.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so I'm a farmer. My hens have stopped laying the number of hens I want them to produce. Do I get in touch with you, or do you get in touch with me?
We usually would get in touch with you. The lady who is the main coordinator for the group, she tends to ring round to some of the farms and see if they're ready to go off. And if they are, we offer to take them.
Is there any kind of register? So just say, for example, Bloggs Farm in Upchurch. I don't know whether there is one or not, but we'll use that name. Bloggs Farm in Upchurch buys, I don't know, or rears, say, 50 chickens. Are those registered at all, or is it just an on-spec call once, say every 3 months to that particular farm?
It would just be a sort of on-spec, because obviously they come to their end of their commercial lives all at different times. So we just ring farms and see if they're ready to go for processing, and then jump in and take them all if the farmers will allow us to. Most of the time they do.
Do you have a list of people who say, yes, we're interested in this, a register? So, you say, you might ring me and say, Tony, I've got 3 or 4 hens become available this week. Would you like to take 1, 2 or whatever?
Yes, we do have a list. It's all on the website, which is www.freshstartforhens.co.uk. And you can register your interest for the rehomings on the website. There are collection points all over the country, and you will be able to find one that's fairly near to you.
Now, a hen is not for breakfast, but it's for life. How do we actually go about? What do we need to know about hens before we decide to take one in?
They do need to have secure housing because foxes are quite prevalent throughout the towns and the countryside. So they need somewhere that's secure, where the foxes can't get in. They also need a dry area for sleeping and somewhere dark to lay their eggs.
Okay. What about feeding them?
Feeding them, when they're in the farms, they're usually fed on layers mash, which is readily available from all farm shops. I get mine from the Featherbed farm at Iwade, and you get a big sack and it lasts quite a long time.
You can, apparently, we're having this conversation with Pete Flynn, who seems to know a bit more of a font of knowledge about hens than I expected him to be. Apparently they like spaghetti bolognese and shredded paper.
They like to eat the spaghetti bolognese, yes. I think they probably think it's worms. The paper we use mainly for bedding, to keep them dry and warm. They have got lots of feathers, so they keep themselves warm in the winter.
But if they fancy a midnight snack, they can start eating their beds.
Yeah, they don't eat the paper, but you know that they love spaghetti. They love any fruits and vegetables, and they will eat pretty much anything.
Okay, so they need this box. You have. Do they fly at all? So if you didn't have a cover on their pin, as it were, could they fly into a neighbour's garden or something?
They can't fly as such. They're a little bit too big for that, but they are quite adept at jumping up onto things and then onto walls and over fences.
So you've got to make sure that that they are well protected, as it were. Otherwise,
yes, you do need a covering on the run and the coop to keep them safe.
What sort of area do you think is a kind of generally good area for them to run around in?
A lot of people keep them in a coop overnight, locked away so they're safe, and then let them free range in the garden. And you really don't need very much space at all for that. I've got quite a small garden. It's in the middle of Sittingbourne. But yeah, they free range and they just like to pick around and dig up worms and things. Okay,
so what about the noise they make? Do they make much noise?
Sometimes they do. It's the cockerels that make the worst noise, so I wouldn't advise going for cockerels if you've got tetchy neighbours. They do make noise. It'd be silly to say they don't, but it's no more than perhaps a neighbour's dog barking occasionally.
And are they, when I say clean, I mean some animals do give off a scent. Do they any fragrance about them that could upset neighbours or anything?
As long as you keep the bedding and the floor area of the run clean, then there is no smell.
Okay, so if we've interested people by this conversation, how should people go about getting in touch again?
Okay, we have our own Facebook pages. Obviously, this one is Sittingbourne Fresh Start for Hens, but you can get in contact with us via the website, through emails to various different places.
Okay, so give us the website address again then.
The website is www.freshstartforhens.co.uk.
Well, and how many hens have you got, did you say?
I have 5 and another 3 coming on Saturday.
So that'll be 8 in total?
It will, yes.
You'll be a busy lady.
I will, but they are such fun. They've got all their own personalities and they're very friendly.
Do you have any other pets?
Yes, I have quite a lot. I have 2 dogs, a cat, a hamster and 2 aquariums.
Are there any feathers ever flying?
Not normally, no. The dogs and chickens tend to stay away from each other. The cat is not interested either, so yeah, they all get on quite well together.
And if you need any manure for the back garden, you've got a constant supply.
Oh, definitely. Chicken manure is one of the best for the garden.
And the occasional egg for breakfast.
Yes, that's it, the occasional egg.
Well, it sounds fascinating. Just give us that website address again.
It's www.freshstartforhens.co.uk.
Alison Nolan, thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Tony.